Hi, welcome to Module 11. This module is about facilitating successful group meetings. Meetings are a staple of group life. You can't really have a work group without some sort of meeting. And they're both very useful and widely hated and mocked, right? You've seen memes and cartoons and all kinds of complaints about meetings. Because this is an online course, all your meetings have happened virtually, which makes them a little different from meetings that happen face to face. But it's pretty likely that you'll be involved with groups that have meetings, and in fact, I would bet most of you have already had group meetings of one kind or another and have some ideas about what helps those meetings be effective or ineffective. So in this brief video, I'll give an overview of the material, highlight a couple of ideas, and talk you through the assignments. So the material, we're getting really close to the end of the term, and the reading for this module is the last chapter of your Keaton and Beck textbook. It's very practical. It gives suggestions about how to make a group charter and a code of conduct. It talks about the responsibilities that leaders and group members have before, during, and after meetings. And it talks about what you can do as a group member to overcome common obstacles to good group meetings. Some of the practical things include describing how to make a good meeting agenda, which is really important to clarify the meeting purpose, describe when it'll start and stop, and indicate what will happen during the meeting. And also, what are meeting minutes? Why are those useful? Why are those notes so useful for the group? So as you can see, it's a very tangible, practical focus, not as sort of theoretically oriented as some of our past chapters. As usual, you have a quiz and a personal journal assignment that asks you to apply the ideas to this group that you've been journaling about. I think it's also useful to think about, even though you've been working in your group online, I think, or I would bet, that some of the things presented in this chapter fit with your experience in this class. For example, your group made a code of conduct early in the term. The chapter talks about a code of conduct and why that's important. And the milestones that I've provided in your assignments in each module act kind of as an agenda to guide your work. It's not exactly the same, but it's similar in terms of providing structure and giving you a good sense of what happens next. You may have experienced some of the meeting obstacles that the reading describes, and you can consider how well your group has been able to address those obstacles. So even though it's online, still applicable for your meetings. There is also in the chapter a brief section about having meetings online. And you'll probably be able to relate to that one pretty well too. Okay, the second thing, the module also includes 2 short videos. The first is a 6-step process for facilitating meetings in group setting, and it presents some tips that are really consistent with the chapter reading. The second video is about a really different way to design meetings, and it's called the World Cafe. This is an example of a way to structure and facilitate meetings that's really good at promoting open dialogue and getting perspectives and experiences from a wide range of people. I do a lot of community-based work when I'm not teaching, and I use a lot of these World Cafe processes and other similar designs to help groups here in my local area. I've worked with like public officials, nonprofit organizations, kind of community-based organizing, stakeholder groups. And so these sort of dialogue processes are really helpful to build connections and help people explore new ideas that more traditional meeting formats don't do very well. So if you're interested in learning more about these kind of meetings, let me know in an email, and I'm happy to share some resources with you. The case that we're reading this week is about a meeting in Colorado that is designed to follow a process really similar to the World Cafe. So the video kind of gives you some context for that case. Okay, the third thing, your group work for this module involves brainstorming a list of different possible solutions to the social problem you're focusing on. In the last module, you created criteria that help you analyze the strengths and weaknesses of each possible solution, and you'll do that analysis in the next module. At this point, you just need to create a list of possible solutions that you will be ready to analyze for the next time. So it's really important that you come up with a wide range of solutions here One thing I see groups do sometimes is they get in their minds this preconceived notion of what they think the perfect solution is or the best solution, and they fixate on it. And they have a really hard time considering different options. They kind of have the solution that they like, and then they just make up some other bogus thing that they don't actually really think is good. Okay, that's not good in the long run, right? That's kind of narrow-minded thinking, and it cuts yourself short from actually being able to brainstorm and think about and consider alternative options. So as a group, you should try to come up with really varied possibilities that could work to address at least part of the problem. It's perfectly fine if some of the solutions contradict each other, right? Or if some of them are focused more on one stakeholder group than another. You're not going to select all of them as your final choice, and you want to have good options to consider. So push past that first little thing that happens when people are brainstorming where they kind of suggest one or two and then they're like, okay, that's good enough. Push past that and really think about what these possible solutions could be. If you don't have a good range of possibilities, then your analysis for the next milestone isn't going to be very strong, and the rest of your project isn't going to be very strong either, right? So be vigilant here and don't let your group fall into this kind of narrow thinking. Does that make sense? Okay, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the material. Let me know if you have questions. I'm always happy to talk to you about the course. All right, take care.